Hey, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina, the podcast where we stir up clarity, calm, and creativity for the sober curious, the entrepreneurial, and the wildly ambitious. I'm your host, Marina Castillo, and today I want to talk to you about something that's been game-changing, not just for my business, but for the founders that we work with every single day. Today's topic: how to stop being the bottleneck in your business without hiring 5 new people or reinventing the wheel. Today, we're going to be diving into my brand new Effortless Operations Starter Method. Well, rather, not that it's a new method, but more so the way that we are presenting it and a few resources at the end that I'm going to share with you. That's what's new, and that's what I'm really excited to share. But in general, the Effortless Operations Starter Method is a roadmap that's built for non-alc business owners who are totally over the chaos and ready to lead like a boss. So if you're the founder, the visionary, the person with a million ideas but a dozen bottlenecks, this one is for you. So let's get right into it. I want to start by talking about why we made this guide. So let me paint the picture. You've launched your business, or maybe you're still trying to get it out of your head and into the world, or you are adding another revenue stream that adds an entire new department to your business. So while you're doing this, you're not answering the same question, or rather you are probably answering the same questions every day. You're tracking orders in your notes app, you're duct taping your calendar to a to-do list and a spreadsheet to your team's maybe Slack messages or group chat, and somehow it still feels like nothing is getting done unless you personally do it. If that sounds familiar, this is not a time management issue, and this isn't because you're not working hard enough. It's because you specifically are the entire engine, and nobody showed you how to be a self-sustaining machine. And specifically when I say self-sustaining, I mean not you, but the business can stand alone even if you walk away from it. That's what this guide and this episode is all about. So yes, you are likely the bottleneck, but that's actually good news. One of the most powerful reframes is that it's amazing to be the bottleneck, because if you are the bottleneck, that means you have the power to fix it. So inside of this guide that we built called the Effortless Operations Starter Kit, I believe I called it pack as this episode title, but this is linked in the description of this video. So everything I'm about to talk about is what's inside of there. And I don't want you to think that this is like just some sales pitch, because there's still going to be a lot of actionable items within this episode that I want you to pay attention to. And if this episode is enough to get you to the finish line, oh my God, I'm so thankful and grateful for you for spending time here, because you are amazing and you are able to solve your own problems. Incredible. If you listen to this and you're like, whoa, I would absolutely love to have a little bit of help here, again, that's what the link in the description is going to be for. So now that we're clear on that, I want to mention that inside of this guide, we walk through what I call the hidden costs of chaos, which is the quiet, constant drag on your business that's caused by a lack of systems. You would be actually pretty surprised if you were to sit down and log the amount of wasted hours or team confusions, missed opportunities, burnouts that occurred that didn't need to happen if a system was just set up ahead of time, right? There's nothing worse than being asked as the owner of a bar, for example, what is the recipe for something on the menu? First off, why don't you have a manager? Second, why are they texting? Why isn't there a guide somewhere? Like, there's so many questions I have. If the owner is being texted about a freaking recipe, same thing for a bottle shop. If you're being asked about some SKU and there's not like a guide or a place to go for your brain that has been not uninstalled from you, but copied and installed into a dashboard. And this is where your team goes so that they don't have to go to you, right? So building that structure is step 1 in unbottlenecking yourself. Next, I want you to consider that there are 4 different founder archetypes. Because before we fix your operations, we have to understand how you operate. So I've identified 4 key founder archetypes that show up in the non-alc space and beyond. We have the fire starter, which is the person who's like ideas galore, but execution is just totally falling flat. We've got the helper, which is more of a service-oriented person, but what's boundaries? Like, what are boundaries? They have no boundaries. The third archetype is the controller. So this is someone who is detail obsessed and stuck in micromanaging mode. So even if they had a team, it like wouldn't even matter. And in fact, that would probably add even more stress to their plate. Lastly, we have the escapist, which is the person who hits burnout pretty quickly and feels like they are defeated instead of winning when they delegate something. And spoiler alert, we've all had a little bit of all of these in us. So if you're asking yourself, which one am I most like? I don't think that any of us are like pure stereotypes. I think stereotypes, archetypes, they're here to help us communicate, but they are not like humans and their stories are not one-dimensional, right? So same with these 4 archetypes. Sometimes we can be a little bit more of one at certain points of our business than the other. I used to be a full-blown fire starter back when I was like a kid, right? I just remember having so many ideas about so many things, and then I was like, what do I need to focus on? And then, you know, at the time we didn't have a lot of resources growing up, so it was very much like you pick one thing and you go with it. And if you don't like it, well, it's not like we can just bop over to something else because it is what it is. So I had to very quickly learn how to get out of fire starter mode and learn how to dive deep. But if you dive too deep, you don't want the controller to take over, who is detail obsessed, but you also don't want that to give way to the helper, who is obsessed with the details more so in the service side of things, because then they're going to turn into the escapist, which is the person who hits burnout fast, right? So we don't want to turn ourselves into this weird, bad, basically burnout feedback loop of fire starter, helper, controller, escapist, repeat, fire starter, helper, controller, escapist, repeat, right? If you have a system, you can totally leave that loop. Like, this is not just something that's some inspirational piece of advice. That's called what happens when you actually get serious about your business and you invest in it. And by investing in it, I mean you're putting hours and money into your operations, right? You don't want to be one inbox away from meltdown. So again, this guide in the description of this video walks you through identifying your archetype, and then it shows you how to work with it rather than against it. Now next, let's talk about the 3 pillars of effortless operations. So this is like the meat of it all. So there are 3 main pillars: visibility, systems, and culture. So let's go through each of them. Starting with pillar 1, which is visibility. This isn't just about like looking at your numbers. It isn't about visibility of being able to see what everyone's doing, but it's more so about making your priorities, metrics, and projects visible to your brain and your team. So it's not just your visibility, but it's the visibility that each person operating in each role has, right? You have to think about what is best for them to see, what is going to distract them, what do they need in order to get the job done. And the whole point of this is if you can't see it, you can't fix it, right? So you need to be able to see everything. Same with people in order to get their jobs done, which leads us to pillar number 2, which is systems. Okay, you see it, but we need to have a system that we're looking at, right? So this isn't just about templates or checklists. This is about building a system that supports how you think, systems that build momentum instead of giving you more to manage. So for example, why on earth would you build a system where you had to do a check-in with every single staff member once a week when that does not support how you think or your team thinks? It does not build momentum. In fact, it slows you down. It's kind of boring. It's something people don't look forward to. And that will lead us to pillar number 3, which is culture. But before we even get there, that system doesn't set anyone up for success. So why would I take that sort of advice from some random HR company or whatever if that doesn't apply, right? Every business and every circumstance is special and needs to be fully audited and understood on what type of system it needs. And systems do grow and evolve over time, so do note that it's something that is more of a living, breathing ecosystem rather than something that is kind of a one and done. Like, you can set it for now, and then as you grow, you will find that there will be adjustments that'll be made. Because again, let's move to pillar 3, which is culture. Your team's vibe is literally built from your leadership style, right? So if your leadership style is one of visibility, number 1, so we can see everything being number 2, your systems, that sets the vibe. That sets the tone, the expectations. If people walk into a company where they're like, oh snap, I gotta act like this or else I lose my job, or else I'm not part of this crew, they're gonna really quickly learn to adapt. But if everybody is acting differently, they're not gonna feel compelled to act in whatever way that your employee manual may or may not have been updated to mention, right? So, do you have a culture that supports autonomy, clarity, and ease? Or do you have a culture that supports, or rather that breeds, second guessing, confusion, anxiety? So you'll walk away from the guide knowing which of these to focus on first. So if you do need help with that, again, take a look at the link in the description. But something to think about, okay? Visibility, systems, and culture. If you can honestly say everything is visible that needs to be, systems are in place, and we have the culture to support it, which means not only SOPs, but how the way everybody actually lives and breathes in the space, and how you run your meetings, and how you run your trainings, then you're going to be good to go. If not, again, check that link. So, the cool thing about this whole guide too is that there are voice memo moments everywhere and so much founder real talk. So throughout the guide, you will actually hear my voice just like you do here with the podcast. So it's essentially a private podcast. I included voice memos where I break down the hard stuff in very plain language, right? We've also included worksheets, visual dashboards, founder reflections, and even a few little aha moments that make this way more than a PDF. And in fact, it's not. It's an experience that we built in Notion so you can see how we build our employee programs. So what we mean by that, we have been hired by multiple companies to create their staff training intake. So they hire a new kava tender, they hire a new salesperson in their bottle shop, they hire a new mixologist, bartender, whatever. It's an entry level into the company. From there, they have to go through this course that we develop on Notion. And then there are forms that they can fill out. There's quizzes. It goes a lot more in depth if it's an internal training situation, but you'll kind of get a little bit of a nice, easy taste of that through this guide, because not only did we want you, when we designed this, to gain all the information that we put in there, but we wanted you to experience it. We wanted to talk the talk and walk the walk at the same time. We wanted to show you that system, not only tell you about it, but show you. We're going to tell you about the system by showing it to you. It's visible, as you'll see, and then the culture that teaches you how to work with us is embedded throughout it. So again, you're not only learning from the information we put in there, but I want you to take notes on the structure of it itself. And if you love it, please copy it or hire us to do it for you. So maybe you already know your archetype, maybe you're nodding along thinking, I do spend all of my energy just keeping things afloat. Good. That means you're ready. The guide ends with a choose your own adventure map. So whatever type of archetype you are, whatever it is that you need, it gives you next steps, because you don't have to fix it all. You just have to fix one thing to start building momentum again. And it's incredible how quickly everything else kind of starts to fall into place. So if it feels like your to-do list is a mile long, it feels overwhelming, like you never catch up, I can help you fix that. I remember feeling that way. And I, even in our business now, have never had a to-do list on the weekend. And we designed it purposely that way. We want to make sure that you feel that way in your business. You feel confident and comfortable doing so that as your life needs you to adjust, you can easily do it. So again, go ahead and take a look at the description for the Effortless Operations Starter Guide, because you do not have to live in chaos. You do not have to do it all alone, and you don't have to wait for some mythical later when things are less busy. You can start leading with ease now, because the smoother your operations, the stronger your impact. Thank you so much for tuning in today to this episode of Mocktails with Marina. If this helped you feel seen or supported, please leave a review or share it with a fellow founder in this space. But lastly, I want to mention that the next episode is going to dive so much deeper into mindset. We're going to stop with the resource drops. We had 3 in a row. I just wanted to get those out in the lovely month of June because I know they're needed. I know there are people who just need a quick little jump start. So we're back to not only diving deep on a few topics I have for you on allowing you to become visible, because that's the hard part, right? Like, I realized when writing this, like, okay, yeah, you have to become visible, you have to create systems and have a culture. Cool, those are the things. Systems are kind of like nerd work, right? Those are things you can outsource if you don't want to do it. But when it comes to culture and visibility, like, those are things that you have to work on as a founder, or else you will self-sabotage. So the next episode is going to talk about how to not self-sabotage those visibility growth moments and how you can tune your nervous system to, be ready for all of this, because this is a lot. And at first it can feel like a lot. And I can't say that it gets easier, but you do get used to it and you kind of find your rhythm and your flow and you adjust, right? So that's what the next episode is about. And then after that, we have a whole bunch of fun interviews coming up for the month of July. I am so excited and I can't wait to see you in the next episode.